Hey everybody, welcome back to Dicing with Death. Yo, I have nothing to share with you from our break, actually. I sometimes try and find things from the break to share, but there might be a fro-fro. There's probably a fro-fro this weekend is the best I can give you.
It's a good thing to share.
It is. It is.
So Zweihaard will emerge from his forge victorious, crafted his first mithril weapon. Well, mostly mithril.
Don't you have a mithril axe?
Oh, I do have a mithril halberd, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zweihaard's pretty decked out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Except for my armor.
Mm-hmm.
But armor in this version doesn't really do much, so...
or it does way more.
Yeah, it actually does. Extends, but it's not apparent to me what better armor will get me.
Mm-hmm.
So we can figure that out if I decided to make some. But anyways, so Zweihaard will leave his forge and head. Actually, it's just down the hall, right, to the temple.
Yeah. That was a little high pitched. Yes, right. It's just down the hall.
Yeah. Because we are in...
no, the temple's basement 1, forge is basement 2, so it's up the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I head up the stairs. Will slowly ease myself back into the surface life. And I will poke into the chapel. I believe this is a temple to Seor, right? So are there pews or is it just altars?
No, there are pew-like things for dwarves to sit or kneel on and sit in fervent prayer to the great gods.
Mm-hmm. And there's it's a large altar to Seor.
Yeah, the altar's like
an anvil.
I was about to say that. Yeah, it's a big anvil shape up there. You see Mother Johanna is going around with some incense right now and sort of like... not sacramenting everything. What do you call it? Not blessing things. What do you call it? There's a term.
It's not blessing.
Just blessing shit. There's a specific term that I'm looking for.
Waving the incense around.
Yeah. What do you call it when you wave your incense at shit and you sanctify is the word. Thank you.
Okay.
Sasha Stormcrow, sanctifying the things around her. She sees you, gives you a polite bob of the head, and continues her work.
I bow and I approach. Mother, it is good to see you.
And you, Father.
I have a favor to ask, or perhaps ask the church, or maybe ask the gods. I have the fates have brought me to a possible source of holy metal, mithril. I say, grinning wide and probably showing my dwarven greed, which is a virtue in dwarven culture, right?
Many say that. Her face remains in an expressionless mask during this, as she patiently waits to hear the rest of your tale.
It is an abandoned mine. There's evidence of a foul presence there, Grell. But I came away with some small sampling of what these depths have to offer. And I will show her my axe. Is it uncouth to unsheath a weapon in a temple?
Not
Probably
when you're
temple.
in a temple of Seor. It's definitely not uncouth to show off your recent handiwork. It seems pretty legit.
Yeah, especially an axe in a dwarven temple. So I will pull this new hand axe from my belt and lay it before her, letting the mithril catch the glint of candlelight.
Yeah, there's some, almost resonating between the mithril blade as you set it down on the altar, which just happens to be where you guys were standing at the moment. It kind of hits and it vibrates, and there's a slight hum in the air as you place it there before it kind of settles.
Yeah, I probably noticed that the silver counterbalance maybe throws it into a wobble when it's trying to resonate. That's almost there, but it's not quite. I look to Johanna, hoping to see her stone countenance crack and show maybe a little bit of greed or appreciation or some emotion. Nothing.
She stays fairly steady.
Mm-hmm.
And your question?
I wish to seek the god's guidance. I have before borrowed the... what were they? Do you remember? Do I remember what they were?
The auguries?
Yeah, the tokens.
Were they ancient bones of some ancient forefather?
That's what they were. Yeah.
The first dwarven king of your kind, or something like that.
The first Thane. Yeah, I've before borrowed the Thane's bones to commune with the gods. However, in this question, I fear I suspect I must take them to the mine itself to ask what must be asked. What thinks you of this?
She walks with you over to a cubby built into the pedestal holding up the altar.
I follow her. I think leaving the mithril hatchets sitting atop the altar for now.
Yeah. She pulls out, opens the cubby, unlocks something with a hidden key from within her robes, pulls out the sacred bones, and walks over to this depression-like bowl made out of a large piece of amethyst. It's just this like very smooth bowl on the inside. She grabs the bones herself, looks up, kind of just, well, face ahead, eyes up, kind of thinking for a moment, whispering to herself, praying probably, and tosses the bones in the amethyst bowl, and watches them settle and slide around, and thinks on it for a little while, and then gathers them up and puts them in a nice velvety sack and hands them over to you and says, "You may take them."
How convenient that you had that spell memorized today. The gods will it. I take them and begin heading for the door, and then pause and look back at the hatchet sitting upon the anvil.
It's just there, resting gently.
Yeah.
She notices that you've sort of left it there, and I think you're both looking at it, and then she looks to you, and you look to her.
And I walk back and I pick it up off the altar and stick it back in my on my belt. And I, Sailor's blessing upon you. God's willing, I will return in a day.
Sailor be with you.
All right, let's look at some spells here. So I'm going to need a Soften Earth and Stone and an Augury. My usual first level spells. Let's see, we got Strength of Stone, Detect Evil, Detect Magic, and Light. Those seem like fine dungeon delving spells. All right.
Great. Yeah. And
we will load up my pair of goats, who by now can probably attack on command.
Yeah.
Presumably I've been training them in their downtime. They've probably learned all their puny little goat minds can keep track of.
Horns and butt. Got it. Just
don't forget the mouth.
They horns in the mouth or the mouth on the butt?
Oh, Neal, no. I know it's 2018 and that's all the rage, but
I'm biting the
goats are good at eating.
Okay.
So we load up our pack animals, and I go to head out. Do I spot Ziggy on the way out of town? Yep.
You don't passively spot him. No.
Okay. Thought to maybe take him. I mean, there's maybe I see an alternate universe where where he spotted me leaving, and maybe I thought to bring him along, but no.
Not this time.
All right. So I guess I'll head back to the Mithril Mine.
Okay.
All seems quiet and well in town. This is my first time on the surface, probably in like a week. Like shield my eyes from the sun. I think I put my helm on and like pull the visor down over my eyes,
Reducing the sun's glare, keeping your head nice and hot. Yeah.
All right. I probably don't ask for news, but if all seems quiet and humming along in the town, it's not really a town, right?
No, it's a keep. It's a keep.
How many? You said there were like 100 people? Was it more than that? Was it 300?
I don't know. Probably a few hundred, but most of them are gone. Maybe not most, but many of them are gone, marching off to go slay hobgoblins and orcs.
Yeah.
Population now, I think, is around 80.
Okay.
Here we go. Low hundreds, 80-ish when Einhard is gone.
Okay.
And so by yourself, you're going to head back to the Mithril Mine.
Yeah. Do I feel nervous going by myself?
Why would you feel nervous?
Grell.
Yeah.
I got my goats.
Okay. You set out, and maybe 20 minutes or so into your journey, the sun overhead begins to dim as clouds move in, and a gentle rain begins to fall down on you.
This is why we stay underground.
Yeah, it's getting muddy. Your thick, heavy shoes are kind of getting clumped here and there. You know, it's that sort of like everything's dry and then it rains and the top like half inch is really muddy and everything else below that is dry, so it just like clumps to your shoes, caking them heavily as you walk. The goats are fine. They don't seem to mind the rain. The lanolin in their wool or fur or whatever you call it is keeping them nice and dry.
That's sheep. Goats probably too.
They probably have some amount of lanolin, I would expect. No, we don't really harvest goats' fur.
All right. Are you looking up whether goats have lanolin in their fur?
I do. I am right now, yes. The goat spot. Information for all the goats that I need. Apparently, they don't smell like they have lanolin in their fur, so they don't, probably.
Who was the goat tester that had to sniff all those goats to determine whether they smelled like sheep?
No. This was just the forums on thegoatspot.net.
So someone posted, do goats have lanolin in their fur? And someone was like, hold on, let me go check. Nope, doesn't smell like it.
Well, Milk and Honey, the senior member here on the Goat Spot, says that. Apparently using an app called Goat Forum to post it.
Posted from the Goat Forum app.
Sent from my iPhone using Goat Forum.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
God, I wish I was as into goats as these people are.
I mean, we are
really,
role-playing goats. I don't know how much more into goats you can get.
Yeah. All right.
Goat Spot, the other G Spot.
Yeah. Apparently the guy who's asking this question, his name is Goatkeeper 2015.
Oh, he's only been keeping goats for 3 years? What an amateur.
Seriously. I mean, he posted this question in 2015 too, so I mean,
a noob. I'm sure by now he knows how goats smell. They certainly don't smell like lanolin.
Everyone's avatar images are just their goats.
Of course, right?
Here, I'm just gonna. Everyone else can enjoy this thread as much as I can. I posted it in Twitch chat. Sorry, YouTube, you don't get it. Just look for the goat spot. You'll find it. It's amazing.
Look for the goat spot. Best advice.
Do you have any tips for how people can find the goat spot, Ryan?
Find the G spot. Alas, I am still questing. I've had this animal friendship spell memorized for years and years, and I've still not found the G spot. But doing our best.
Anyway, goats, Dungeons and Dragons, traveling. It's raining. Your shoes are heavy. Your goats are fine. Okay, let's see if there are any encounters in the rain. Oh my god, they found a thread with baby goats.
You can't just say that, Durnar, and not link it.
Yeah, seriously, where's the baby goat thread, buddy?
All right.
Okay.
Are there any encounters?
Yes, sir. Yes, there are. You're headed towards that mine area. You get to one of the last few hills that you're going to cross before you actually get to the spot. So you're approaching the valley, maybe a half mile away or something, when you see the all too familiar sign of a monstrously large humanoid off a great distance away moving. You spot the head of a cyclops. As the cyclops is heading, no pun intended, where are they going? They are going this direction. So you're going almost tangential to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pull my goats behind a hill or a rock or a bush or whatever I can find to hide in. Cyclops have disadvantage on perception checks because they only have one eye, correct?
Perhaps.
Let's hope so. So I think my first instinct will just be to avoid sight and hope that I can hide out and wait for this giant to walk past. But this is concerning. Giants this close to Blacksteel Keep. And Tharnum. All right, so I will take cover and watch from a distance. How far off did I spot this Cyclops?
It's probably a mile away.
Oh, that's, yeah.
It's a good distance. It's probably further than your destination, actually. Yeah. Do you want to continue on to your destination? Have it with the knowledge that the giants are behind your destination, or do you want to sit around and wait for them to pass?
It sounded like they would walk past, right? Like they would go over that way, right?
Yeah.
So I'll let them keep walking.
Okay.
Ignore them for now. Giants, so I see more than one.
Yeah, at first it's just the one, and then you see another and another. You count at least 3, but it's possible that others are below the hill line.
Not good.
Not good. But the Cyclops pass, and you make your way to the valley that has the little town in it. Little ruined town with the little mine at the back, and all the stuffs.
So it's on the far side of the hill, right?
The giants?
This is the mine, the town.
You are coming from this direction.
Okay.
So your original route came from to the northeast, and then down the valley from the northeast.
It's probably still the best route rather than having to slip down the hill.
Yeah, this is a really steep, uncomfortable area. So you come down the valley, the dried out river, cross through the wall, into the little village with only the one building standing, and you can make your way back towards the mine itself. Can I get a perception check from you while you come through this area?
Yeah. My perception is 11. Nope. I am. I've got my helmet on still. Perfect. It's raining, and I think I'm just going straight for the mine.
You get to the mine. You're there.
And I'm just gonna roll with that one. I don't even bother to look around. My goats are on guard. I like stay guard, and they like probably turn their butts to the mine entrance and sit on guard.
Yep. They munch on some grass. They take a watch.
Okay, and I lay out, or like take out the package or whatever that the bones were given to me in. Mm-hmm. Was it given with an amethyst bowl or something?
Nope, it was just a velvety sack that the bones were put in and then wrapped in a piece of leather.
Okay. All right, well, I unwrap the leather flap and cast my augury spell and cast the bones. Let me refresh myself. So I need to ask... whether an action in the immediate future will benefit or harm the party. The party is considering destruction of a weird seal that closes the portal. So I'm considering, using my soften earth and stone to sort of excavate the cave-in that I created. Mm-hmm. And open up the mine. So like will opening this mine and seeking out the mithril within bring harm to myself and my clan. Is it a good idea, gods?
All right, 70% plus 1% for each level. You are level 5, so you have a 75% chance. Level 4. And I roll it in secret, right?
Yes. Yeah, because if the spell is successful, the base chance doesn't say anything about catastrophic failure, but I assume that if it's like a 95 to 100, you could give me horrible misinformation.
Okay. The answer from your god, Seor, is that the treasure is worth the danger.
From me or from my clan? Do I go in there alone?
That is a good question.
I roll back up the dwarf bones. And now I'm wondering whether to take them with me or return them before doing my excavation. Probably should take them home. Did he just ask a god of greed for advice on searching for treasure?
I know. What sort of bullshit is this? Seor's not the god of greed. What nonsense is he talking about?
A little bit greed. Is there a god of greed?
No. There's no god of greed.
There's a demon of a crown prince of greed. All right. Okay, so I will wrap up the Thane's bones, pack them back up on the goats, and I'm going to lead the goats into the cave, into the mine.
Okay. In you go.
I cast a light spell on the... How about on my helm this time? Little searchlight, dwarven mine light, ding. Maybe the little braid of Cyclops hair on the top of my helm.
Okay. And then you head in with your goats.
Yeah. Right. Just to check things out.
Oh god. Oh, what have I done?
I'll have halberd in hand and goats first, prodding them along on a leash or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Where was our dungeon map?
I don't think you were taking notes, but there was never a dungeon map.
Ah, that's it. The dungeon map is in my notes, not on Roll20. That's where
I believe it was just a consistently curving passage following whatever vein.
Yep.
And then eventually it sloped down a set of so it followed the topography here, so it curves like that way.
Yeah.
And then after a couple hundred feet, if I recall, there was a slope down,
and
that's where I
into
caused a
three.
cave-in. Have to slope downward.
Right.
I'm not planning on excavating now. I just want to see if anything has disturbed the cave-in or if it is sealed up as I left it.
Nope. It looks undisturbed, totally sealed. Yep. Air is fairly fresh because, it's been moving back and forth. This part hasn't been sealed off. No longer has that stale quality to it. I
approached the cave-in and sort of I never really stayed long enough to see how good of a job I did on the cave-in. I kind of just softened the ceiling and let it fall and slide down. So I sort of climb on top of it, holding, looking with my light and seeing what I see.
You sink partially into the heavy clay, manage to scramble your way up to the top, getting completely filthy in the process, but it's nice and sealed. The clay has this sagging quality to it that fills all the little gaps. It's definitely airtight, but there's no way to know if it's an inch or if it's 10 feet of airtightness.
I'll take the hilt of my halberd and push it into the clay. I won't force it. I won't snap the halberd handle, but if it slides through a couple of inches and pierces through to the other side.
After a good push, it kind of sinks in a few inches, maybe 3 inches or so. And it just gets harder and harder to push.
Okay. I pull it out. I'll go ahead and just burn I guess detect magic won't do me any good. So I'll do my detect evil. Let's see how much this pierces.
Yeah.
Evil discovers emanations of evil. It's 120 yards, but it doesn't actually say if it's blocked by anything.
Is it not?
No, detect magic is definitely blocked by stone, metal, or wood. But I think detect evil just goes right through everything. I can detect the evil in the walls.
I'm going to probably keep the detect magic level of blocking.
DM hacks.
Yeah. Which is, I believe, 1 yard of earth. Foot or wall of stone of 1 foot or more thickness, solid metal of 1 inch, or a yard of solid wood.
Doesn't say anything about earth blocking it. I mean, you could...
I'll treat clay and wood similarly. I don't know. Either way, you concentrate, and sure enough, you get ripples of some sort of dark evil thing on the other side of the clay.
I think I just sort of stand there with my hand. Probably the halberd is stuck in the clay. I've got my hand on the clay and the other hand on my holy symbol, and I just close my eyes and feel out the evil.
It's there. Yeah, it's lurking, waiting.
A lurking evil. Oh, that's the worst kind.
Patient, quiet.
I should have... So is it dim, faint, moderate, strong, or overwhelming? And I already got its general nature. It's lurking evil.
Lurking, waiting evil. Those two come together. I would say it is a moderate. a moderate amount of evil. Or a moderate frequency of evil. I don't... If the 1 Grell or 10,000 Grell would produce the same evil quality, right? I kind of feel like 10,000 Grell would produce more.
10,000 Grell sounds overwhelmingly evil. That's that's like a different category. That's an army of Grell.
Sure,
that's not
it's moderately evil. Yeah. Take that as you will.
Or perhaps you could detect like a bunch of different moderate entities. I don't know. So I do want to like spend a few rounds following it, like see if it's moving as if it were a creature, or I mean, I guess it crawled up there, so it must have moved. But I want to see if I can like track it, like if it's pacing or undulating or.
No, it's not moving at all. I told you, it's there. It's lurking and waiting on the other side.
Is it just right just on the other side of this cave-in?
You can't tell. You can't tell how far it is, but it's somewhere on the other side of the cave-in. Maybe it's just on the other side, or maybe it's at the full length of the section.
Do I need line of sight to cast Soften Earth and Stone?
Probably.
So I can't like try to try to cast spells at the creature from the other side. I'm going to take Chat's advice and back up until I can no longer sense the evil and use that to try and gauge about how far it is.
Interesting.
It takes a round of like stopping and sensing, so I'm guessing this whole process will take a few minutes.
Right, okay, so we've got a slope, part of it's caved in. Swihard's looking down, sensing evil. He heads back up, trying to put more distance between and see if the evil stays within the realm. You get to the top of the slope, it's still there, and I think when you start backing... no, it can curve. Yeah, so you manage to back out to the edge of the cave. About 150 feet away from where you were before. Maybe closer to 200 feet or so, maybe even 220. And that's about when it starts to, when it just kind of fades off.
Okay, so I've got it. So that means from where I'm standing, it's about 360 yards ahead. So it was maybe even 100 feet past the cave-in. The AoE on my Detect Evil is 120 yards. So if I can sense it from the entrance to the cave, then it is about 100 feet past the cave-in. Maybe a little less. But
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I can fight Grell.
How many are there, Ryan? What if there's 5?
I don't even know if I can fight one.
Yeah.
Those beaks and those tentacles.
But the treasure's worth the risk. Your god told you so.
Yeah. About the risk to the Thane's bones. I think I need to take those back in any case.
Okay. Swihard carefully bundles up the bones.
Those are already bundled, yeah. And I will begin my journey back.
You're gonna do another all-nighter all the way back in the rain? After sensing overwhelming evil? Or moderate evil?
What's my alternative? I dig the evil out?
You go to sleep next to the evil? I don't know. Doesn't sound like any option sounds good. The rain is still coming down nice and gently. It's been raining all day. It seems peaceful. Like the rain is unaware of the impending doom and death that is all around you.
Yeah, I guess there's no sense of urgency, right? So I'll go ahead. I mean, it seems more comfortable to camp out in this abandoned village than to trek back through the night and through the rain.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've got the Soften Earth and Stone spell that I might as well use, right? I wonder how much effort it's going to take to dig out this cave-in that I've caused.
Probably quite a bit of effort.
It's going to take more than one spell. Maybe I should start. Or at least start softening it. So I think I will start working on the cave-in.
The next morning?
No, I think right then and there while I've got the spell in my memory.
All right.
And while I've got the light to look at, Detect Evil's probably still cranking away. Strength of Stone will last 7 rounds. Okay. So maybe I didn't even actually pack up. I think I was just mentally preparing to leave. This might as well be while I'm still standing in front of the cave-in.
Okay.
Weighing through my options, right? Do I go back? Do I camp out here? So I will cast Soften Earth and Stone on the cave-in, so like at ground level, on the clay that's plugging the hole. So we'll soften it further and see what happens.
So you're softening the clay at the bottom of the mound.
Yeah, or the mound itself, if that's reasonable. I think it's a 10-foot square to a depth of 1 to 4 feet.
Right.
And it's actually 4 10 squares. So basically like the ground of the passageway, and then like the earth above it to like, let's see, wet earth becomes thick mud, dry earth becomes loose sand or dirt, stone becomes soft clay. So it was stone turned to soft clay that can easily be molded or chopped. So I don't know if I can like further soften that soft clay into a thick mud or something like that. I don't know. You tell me what happens.
Okay. Ooh. You hit the clay, and the bottom of it turns into like really soft clay, and the top just kind of lowers slowly. You can actually hear the sound of like suction as the clay pulls away from the wall in certain places. The top seems fine, and as the clay begins to soften and open up, you can hear this gurgling noise from the other side.
I have light shedding as if torchlight, so I think it's 20 feet.
Yeah, the top of this mound begins to lower from the ceiling, and a passageway begins to open to the other side.
How much of a passageway? Like, does it sink and continue to open up, or is it a passageway that would have to be worked to
Well,
open?
right now it's just a few inches, but this mud is still settling. I think you're sitting and watching and like asking yourself, how much is this going to open as it gets a little bit lower, a little bit lower as everything resettles.
So I think I just stand there on the hard worked ground. Actually, the ground was worked stone, right?
Yes.
So I wouldn't have been able to target that.
No, it's
I was targeting the mound on top of it.
Yeah, it's the hard clay or firm clay has become very soft clay.
Yeah. So I stand there on solid worked ground, halberd readied, probably preparing to strengthen myself. Just behind my goats and just watching the mud settle and see what happens. Can I hear any reaction from the other side? Can I sense any reaction from the other side? Is the evil still lurking, or is it preparing to pounce?
It is expectant now, and that's when you see the first tentacle start to poke around, just coming up and over the edge and looking and feeling and starting to reach over the mound of clay in your direction.
How much like clay is there before where I'm standing?
The gap is about yay big where the tentacle is coming through, and the mound of clay probably has, from where the gap is to you, like horizontally, it's probably 3 or 4 feet. So definitely within halberd range, you could probably stab it if you want to let it know that you're there.
I think I'm going to restrain myself and like ready for a good solid hit. Or can I restrain the goats too? Do I know if Grell can hear?
You are aware that Grell have weird senses because they don't have eyes or ears, and yet they do seem to perceive things around them somehow.
Ears. Okay, so I will verbally tell the goats just stay. And I am preparing I'm going to wait and see if the creature comes through or warrants a better hit. If the tentacle comes to within striking range of a goat, like if it makes an aggressive action, I'll attack.
No, it's feeling the edge. It's feeling the top and reaching around and sensing the shape and how much room there is. It's exploring.
Okay, I let it explore. Maybe it'll explore its way into a direct hit range. The words to a prayer are on my tongue, and I'm readying to strengthen myself. I think I'll cast my strength of stone and strike if it looks like the creature is going to start pulling through.
The tentacle starts to like pull at the top as if it's like excavating the top. And it's still just one. You know that Grell have many tentacles. You know that they have 10. And this one is starting to pull the earth or the clay away down the sloping passageway.
I'm gonna like move around and look with my light, and I guess sense out with my detect evil to see if I can detect more than one Grell, or if I just see the one.
You just see the one.
And a clear hallway behind it.
It's on a slope, right? So there's not really much of a hallway behind it, and you can kind of just see the one tentacle and maybe like some grelly brainy bits, but the angle of the incline makes it really hard to see what's going on behind the mound. It's also just a few inches of cleared earth, so your information is pretty limited right now.
I think I wait and bide my time, waiting for an opening. Probably for like the bulk of the creature to show itself. So, like I'm hoping that it'll like wedge itself on top of the mound, maybe get up in there so it can continue excavating. We'll see. I just don't want to like strike out a tentacle, freak it out, and then just send it running.
Right. So you wait for a few minutes. Eventually the earth stops shifting, the gurgling comes to an end. It's maybe a 6-inch gap now that the Grell has been kind of poking around. And then you see the tentacle just slip into the darkness and vanish. Try as you might with your light shining around, the Grell seems to have fallen back from the clay and has left.
I like looking after it, halberd ready.
You don't see it. It's moved.
I wait for a few minutes, see if it comes back.
It doesn't. How long does Detect Evil last?
Long
long
probably
time.
Expired.
It's 30 minutes. It's a half hour.
Okay. Okay, so it's probably still going. So
Yeah.
can I sense the evil retreating?
Yes. And then eventually it's gone, and you can't sense it anymore.
It's gonna go get more growl. What have I done? I'm gonna plug this hallway back up. There's loose stones up in the ruined town, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got my goats. Do I have rope on my goats? What do I? Yeah, I have 50 feet of thin rope. So I'm going to use my goats to haul as many huge, unwieldy stones down into this hallway as I can. So that will probably be an hour-long process, maybe. Get a bunch of the big stones from this ruined town, maybe from the stone wall or the stone keep, and just, so first off, to drag them in here, pile them up, and then stack them on top of the clay to block the hallway.
All right. You start stacking the heavy rocks in the clay. They kind of sink, and you get some new ones, and it sinks, and you stack them up. And
in the process, over the course of this hour or so, do I notice any growls returning?
No,
nothing comes back. No. Okay. So I'm gonna plug this hole with stones.
All right. It's plugged. It seems fine. It seems fine.
To my satisfaction. Those tentacles didn't look very strong, right? They were just scraping away mud, but I can't imagine them moving a big, hefty stone like this, right? These things must be like 50 pounds a piece. I don't know.
They're heavy stones that you brought in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably fine. You've probably solved the problem. Don't worry about it. What are you gonna do, though?
Wait. Lurk. I think I will camp out here. I'm gonna leave the goats to guard at night. They obviously need to sleep, but they can kind of do their semi-alert wake sleeping that animals do.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of them. Do I leave them at the cave entrance? Or how is the keep? Does that seem like a nicer place to camp out?
That's just a forge. It's the nicest place. It's the only fully intact building. Yeah, a ruined forge.
Yeah, seems like a better place to camp. What are the dimensions of this town? Like how wide is this little valley?
Let's take a look. I want to say this entryway is maybe 40 feet here. Growing to about 60 here, and
that's
maybe
still pretty small. I feel like
maybe 80 here and 120 here.
Yeah, I feel like it's unlikely that an army of growl is going to sneak past us in the night, right?
No.
Like most likely they would come upon us or something like that. We'd probably, with goats on high alert, we would probably notice. What was the goats' reaction to the growl?
They didn't really do anything.
They didn't care? They don't innately sense the evil?
They were just goating around.
Okay. All right, so I will spend the night in the forge. My goats will be on guard duty, which means they can nap, but they're like semi-alert. They're probably like trading off nap times as herd animals might instinctively do. So at any time, maybe there's some chance that one of the goats is awake or gets disturbed in the night. And they will attack any whatever they perceive as a threat that comes into our little area. And we'll get some sleep.
All right. You guys go to sleep. We go to break. And we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.